Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be testing out some beauty dupes. I've got 4 products sitting here in front of me, 2 from the drugstore, 2 that are high-end, and we're going to be matching them up with their counterparts to see whether or not the high-end version is actually worth the splurge, or if you might as well just save your money and go the drugstore route. The first pair we're going to be putting to the test are the ColourPop No Filter Foundation and the Mercier Flawless Fusion Ultra Longwear Foundation. If you've been watching my videos, you know this is like my holy grail foundation, but it costs like $50. It's very, very expensive. And when I first tried the ColourPop one out, I was surprised to find that the finish looked really, really similar to the Mercier one. So I've been meaning to test these guys side by side on my face for quite a while now to compare the finish and the wear time. And right now I've got them both on my face, one on one half and one on the other. Can you tell which is which? The other pair I'm going to be testing out are 2 eye primers, the first of which is the Karity Pre-Shadow Long Lasting Anti-Crease Primer, and then the NARS Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base. Again, this has been a long-time favorite of mine. This guy is $26, this guy I think is $8, so this is less than half the price of the NARS one. And again, when I was testing out the Karity, I felt like it performed and went on the eyes very similar to the NARS one. So we're going to be putting all 4 of these products to the test on my face today. As you can see, I already am wearing them, so I'm going to show you guys how they apply. We're going to chat a little bit about my initial impressions, and then I'm going to be doing check-ins throughout the day to let you guys see how everything wears. And of course, if you're new here to my channel and you're not already subscribed, I hope you will click the button. That way my face will show up in your subscription feed and you'll be able to check out more of my videos in the future. I actually just also filmed a makeup playtime showing you how I created this eye look and all the other products I'm using on my face today. So if you want to see that video, it should be coming your way later this week. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out. And with all that being said, why don't we get into testing out these dupes? It is so cold and like grossly windy out today. I needed to make myself a second cup of coffee. Also, if you hear insane whistling, it's because the wind basically sounds like it's going to blow my house down right now, so I apologize for that. So I'm going to start out by priming my skin. I'm going to be using this guy right here, the Coola Daydream Mineral Primer. I've been really enjoying this lately. It reminds me a lot of the Hourglass Veil Mineral Primer, except it's like $12 or $13 less expensive. And I think it has more sort of like skincare benefiting ingredients in it. But the scent is very similar and the texture is very similar, and it also has even more SPF. This has SPF 30 where the Hourglass only has SPF 15. Alright, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the ColourPop foundation to this half of my face and the Mercier to this half of my face. We'll keep this half high-end, this half drugstore, since we're also going to be testing out an eye primer today as well. I have 2 different beauty sponges here, so there's no cross-contamination. So I'm going to start by applying 1 pump of the ColourPop foundation to the back of my hand. It is very liquidy, as you can see. I'm going to go in with a little flat side of this sponge, and I'm just going to start stamping this onto my skin. Just putting this out there, that this is also my summer shade, and I'm not exactly tan anymore, so it's going to be a little bit darker than I would prefer, but it's the only shade I have on hand right now. So that's just 1 layer. I think I'd like to add just like a little bit more. I'm going to put maybe like half a pump and just add a bit more coverage, especially right around my nose. Alright, so here is the ColourPop foundation on. I really do like this foundation and the way that it looks. It's got a nice sort of satin matte finish to it. It's not flat or dry or cakey looking at all. I feel like it's got really nice like medium to full coverage. There's definitely like a little bit of imperfection that shows through, so your skin looks a little more realistic, but it definitely covers up redness and kind of evens out your skin tone. So now let's go in with Mercier. Again, I'm going to put just maybe 2 pumps of that. Now you can see this is a little bit thicker than the ColourPop. It's not quite as runny in texture. So I'm going to pick this guy up also on my sponge and start stippling it in. I do have to say this shade match is actually even better than I could have hoped that it would be. Like, you can't even really tell that I'm wearing 2 different colored foundations on my face. Alright, so here is the Mercier side. Really, I feel like the finish on this foundation is so so similar to the ColourPop. And this is what I had a feeling would happen, which is why I really wanted to do this video. Again, it's not a very flat matte. It's very lightweight, covers everything up really nicely, but doesn't leave your skin looking like you're wearing a mask. So I'm very curious to see how these guys wear and whether or not one starts to fade away or get greasier than the other faster. So I'm definitely going to be checking in and letting you guys know over the next several hours how this looks. But first, we're gonna finish up the rest of the face makeup so we can get on to the eye primer. And I'm back. All right, so the second round of products I want to test out in today's video are these two eye primers. I have the Karity Pre-Shadow Long Lasting Anti-Crease Primer and the NARS Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base. This guy right here is, again, a long-term holy grail product I've loved for many years. I just repurchased it maybe about a month or two ago and started using it again. And this guy is less than $10. You can get it online at Karity's website. And the first time I used this, the first thing that went through my mind is, wow, that's really similar to the NARS eyeshadow base. So today we're going to be testing these guys out side by side as well to see whether or not either one of them outperforms the other in terms of making my eyeshadows last and not crease throughout the day. So I think what I'm going to do is just keep drugstore on this side and high-end on this side. So I'm going to apply the Karity eye primer to this eye and the NARS to this eye. These both have a wand style applicator and they both are that kind of like translucent primer that just blends in. Just as an FYI, I do have a little bit of Tarte Shape Tape on my lid on both sides because that's the concealer that I used on my under eyes today. And I always put basically like whatever excess concealer is left on my sponge up on my eyelid to kind of cover up any dark areas. All right, finger has been wiped. Now we're gonna go in with the NARS on this side. This is a little more white. The other one was a little bit more of like a nude color, but I feel like they're very similar in texture and the way they feel on the eyes. You know, now that I have both of these on, I feel like this is reminding me also of the Urban Decay Primer Potion. It may actually be a little bit more similar to that than to this, but we're still gonna test this out. We're gonna see how my eyeshadow wears and whether or not the Karity really is just as good as the NARS one. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish applying the rest of my makeup and then I'll meet you guys back here so we can touch base before I start today's check-ins. Alright guys, I am back with my full face on, ready to chat with you about my first thoughts on these product dupes. So I will say it's probably been an hour and a half-ish since I first put this makeup on because I was filming another video today. So that took up a pretty sizable chunk of time. So the foundation has had a while to really like sink in to my skin, kind of settle in with my natural oils. I set everything down today with my Cover FX Perfect Setting Powder because that is just something tried and true I've used a million times. I also put on Tarte Shape Tape. I wanted to use basically things I know and love that wouldn't necessarily screw around with the foundation so we can really make sure the foundation itself is what we're looking at. And honestly, so far, I am really loving A, how my makeup looks all together, and B, am really shocked at how identical the two sides of my face look foundation wise. Like the Laura Mercier really looks both color wise and finish wise almost identical to the ColourPop. It's kind of blowing my mind. This is a $12 foundation. This is like $50. So that's pretty crazy to me. We're gonna get super awkward for a minute here. I'm gonna get super close so you can just see how everything is looking up close. I feel like the coverage on both of these foundations is really beautiful. I feel like they're sitting really nicely on my skin. It's not like overly enhancing my texture or my pores or anything like that. I do have really large pores right around my nose and I have a lot of texture on my cheeks and that's just the way my skin is, but I don't really feel like this foundation is making it look worse or really that either of them is. So right now, very pleased. I'm not really looking shiny at all. I'm still looking relatively matte, but I don't feel like my skin looks cakey or dry either. So far so good on the foundation front. And then as for the eyes, first of all, can you guys believe the eyeshadow palette I used today was $12? $12. I'm excited to show you guys how I put this look together. That video should be coming to you later this week. But I feel like, again, both sides of my eyes look pretty identical. I don't feel like there's any real difference with either of the primers. I will say that I think the shadow applied a little bit more easily over the NARS side than it did over the Karity side. I didn't set the primer, I just let it dry down so it wasn't really super wet when I went in with the shadow. Neither side I felt like there was a lot of patching or anything like that, but I do feel like the color kind of went on just a little bit more smoothly on this side. But I'm still really curious to see how each of these primers impacts longevity and whether or not one of my eyes ends up looking brighter or less faded by the end of the day. So right now it's almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I think I started doing my makeup around 2 o'clock. So it's been on for about 2 hours now. I'm gonna check in with you guys maybe in like 2-3 hours, see how everything is looking, and I will definitely check in again at the end of the night to see what the final verdict is. All right, so I'm gonna clean some of this up, I'm gonna do some work, but I will see you guys in a little bit. Hey guys, so it is currently 8:03 in the evening. I am so ready to fall asleep. It's so early, but it gets dark now at like 4:30 in the afternoon, so I feel like my brain mentally thinks it's bedtime by like 9 p.m., which is very lame, but apparently this is my life now. So I wanted to do a check-in for you guys and show you how the foundations were looking. So again, this is the ColourPop side, this is the Laura Mercier side. I have my little mirror here in front of me so I can take a closer look. As you can see, I'm already starting to get a little bit shiny because this is my life. I have very oily skin, so that happens literally no matter what foundation I use. I'm gonna get shiny after 5-6 hours. Let's see, I put this foundation on between like 2-2:30 in the afternoon, so it has been 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 6 hours-ish, not quite, maybe like 5.5. So let's take a closer look at the ColourPop side here. Obviously I'm really pretty shiny right around my nose. I feel like it's starting to break up a little bit around my chin here, but it's not looking terrible, like especially if you're not like right up close to my face. I still have pretty even coverage everywhere. Here is the Laura Mercier side. Also still getting oily, maybe breaking apart a little bit less. Here is the forehead situation. And then here are the eyes, both of which still are looking really pretty vibrant. Again, this is the Karity side, this is the NARS side. The one thing I will say, I've noticed I have more glitter fallout on the Karity side. I have like very little, if any, on the NARS side. So I feel like the NARS primer maybe has kind of held on to that glittery shadow a little bit better than it did on the Karity side. So far, I mean, I kind of get the feeling that the high-end products are holding up a little bit better, but the drugstore side isn't terrible. And especially I feel like under like short-term wear, they all looked really similar. So I'm gonna go finish doing some editing. I have some pictures that I took that I want to go through, but I will check in with you guys again before I take this makeup off and go to sleep. And I'm back, guys. So it's currently 10:55, which means I am toast. I'm so ready right now to go to bed and very ready to take this makeup off. So let's do one final check-in on these dupe products. So let's talk about the foundations first. As you guys can see, I'm hella shiny, story of my life. I do believe, if I'm looking in my handy little mirror here, that the ColourPop side may be just a tad bit more oily than the Laura Mercier side, but they look pretty similar. Now, I haven't powdered, I have not blotted, I have not touched up this at all day, and truth be told, if I was wearing this on a normal day and not doing a wear test, I would have done something like that just because I know I do get so shiny throughout the day. So this probably looks worse than it would if I was wearing it on a normal day-to-day basis. But as far as like coverage goes, I feel like both sides look pretty good. It's not breaking away. Maybe a little bit here on my chin, and I think it's a little worse on the ColourPop side. It's rubbed away a little bit around my nose because allergies, again, my life. But overall, I feel like both foundations look pretty good. I mean, this is why I love the Laura Mercier. I feel like it looks really, really nice when I wear it all day, aside from the fact that I always get kind of shiny around here and I need to blot or touch up after, I would say, like 4 or 5 hours. But overall, I feel pretty confident in recommending this ColourPop foundation as a dupe for the Laura Mercier one. I feel like they look very, very similar. They've worn very similar on my skin throughout the entire day. I still can't get over the fact that the shade matches are so on point for one another. This is medium 80. This is the shade Latte in the Laura Mercier. And I mean, really, you could not tell I'm wearing 2 different foundations on my face right now. I still love the Laura Mercier, but if you do not want to spend $50 on a foundation, try the ColourPop one. You may really like it, especially if you have oily skin. Obviously, yes, I still did get shiny with both of them, but again, I think if you do some minor touch-ups throughout the day, it stays looking really nice. And then there's the eye primer, so let's take a quick look at the eyeshadow situation. Honestly, I feel like it's held up really well on both sides all day long. It's still looking very, very vibrant. I'm not noticing really any creasing or weird transferring or fading on either side. For all intents and purposes, to me, it looks pretty much the same, which says if you don't want to spend $26 on the NARS eye primer, maybe try the Karity one because it's pretty good. So all in all, I would say today's dupe testing experiment went very successfully. All 4 of these products are great, but if you want to save yourself some money, the Karity and the ColourPop versions of these products are basically identical. You're not going to really be able to tell a huge difference in the way they look and the way they perform from their high-end counterparts. So I say go for it. I will link all the information as to where you can find all of these products in the description box of this video if you want to check any of them out. And definitely let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Do you think one side of my face looks better than the other? Do you feel like you can see a difference between the drugstore and the high-end products? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you love beauty dupes, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. I really appreciate your support. And again, if you're not subscribed and you want to see how I created the rest of this makeup look, I'm going to be doing a makeup playtime video on Saturday showing you guys how I did my eyes and the other products I'm using on my face. So make sure you subscribe and come back if you want to check that out. And on that note, I'm going to take this makeup off and I'm going to go to bed because I am toast. I am exhausted. So I hope you guys all have an amazing, amazing rest of your day and I will see you in the next one. Bye.